Nobody I know is satisfied with the current status of treatment for epilepsy. However, that's not saying that things aren't being done. I'm very excited to have a family from Israel who had their oldest son was expected to live no longer than 6 years. Their youngest son actually had epilepsy since he was in utero. They took the two boys to Moscow and had stem cell treatments done. And now hear how their boys are living without medicine. After that, you're going to hear how Callie Corbin was actually being treated in a hospital for an epileptic seizure when she had fell and hurt her back and required chiropractic treatment. During her chiropractic treatment, it had such an amazing effect on her treatment and her epilepsy that she was excited enough to go to school and become a doctor of chiropractic herself.
Epilepsy is an invisible disability. It can strike at the most unexpected moments, like the most devious gangster. Epilepsy is a criminal. The epilepsy gangster steals money from people. It doesn't matter if he steals it from college funds, whether it's from retirement plans, and some of his victims have to choose between spending money for food or spending it on medicine. The epilepsy gangster robs people of relationships and job opportunities. But most diabolical of all, the epilepsy gangster kills. Like all criminals, the epilepsy gangster must be stopped. Watch Tim Ulmer and his gang you're meeting, who are committed to ending the crime spree of the epilepsy gangster.
Now, folks, for anybody that's lived with epilepsy for a long time, the worst thing other than not driving is simply the side effects of medications or the personality changes that can happen with surgery. In the last couple of weeks, I have become familiar with a family in Netanya, Israel. Haggai and Shira Reiner, thank you for joining us today.
Hi. Very happy to be here.
Yeah, the story of the treatment you've chosen for your kids is absolutely remarkable. Please tell us a little bit about the background of your family and the epilepsy.
Okay, so we are a family with 4 children. 3 of our kids have autistic syndrome, and 2 of them have also got epilepsy. In 2019, our oldest child's condition was very, very bad. He had multiple seizures every day, focal and general seizures, and we were at a loss. At that point, we were waiting for 2 years on a research program in the States, in Duke University, to receive donated cord blood from his sibling, in the hopes that if he will speak, he will be able to tell us about the signs of epilepsy seizures coming so we can help him, so we can prevent the seizure from happening. And that did not happen. He waited for a very long time. And eventually what happened was that we managed to get to a clinic. The name of the clinic is Swiss Medica. And we received donated stem cells from placenta and umbilical cord in that clinic. And we saw within days a huge change in his condition. And since 10th of March 19, he's not had 1 seizure.
Did you try conventional means with medicine first?
Yes. When we arrived to the clinic, he was treated with 6 different medications. It was an experience because he was not swallowing pills. We would end up having this huge bouquet of syringes with different medications. And this was a daily schedule. 3 times a day, you would give him medicine.
What was the life expectancy doctors gave you?
Not much. He was 5 years and 8 months when he reached therapy. And doctors were not sure he was going to make it to 6.
Whoa.
Mom did CPR on him several times.
Yeah. Not a great experience.
Briefly describe, what does stem cell treatment mean?
So we don't know much about why stem cells work for epilepsy. We know that part of the problems with epilepsy has to do with our immune system or with bad neurological pathways. And we know that stem cells can have an immunomodulating effect on those kind of problems. Nobody's really sure why it helps. We managed to find a few programs. Altogether, it spoke about nearly 100 patients together. And what they found is that 50% of the children and adults, it was a joint research group, managed to have some success with preventing or having a relief in their seizure pattern. 25% of the testees has not had any result. Nothing got better, nothing got worse. And 25% had worsening and then relief of symptoms. He was at the beginning of first treatment, he was nonverbal, he was not potty trained, he was not eating solids, so he was fed mainly by baby bottle and maybe by baby formula. He was not making any eye contact, he was not sleeping. And when I say he was not sleeping, it's not like when your baby doesn't sleep. He was sleeping 3 to 4 hours per 24 hours.
What age was he at that point?
Nearly 6, 5, and 8 months.
Oh, wow.
And at that point, we had 2 other small children in the house. He's our oldest child.
You had your hands full. This was not being done in Israel. You actually had to go to Europe, right?
Yeah, we went to Moscow for the first 3 treatments and then to Belgrade, that's Serbia, for the rest of the treatments. He's done 1 treatment in Moscow in 2019. And then the doctor there said, if anything will show, you should come again in 6 months. So we did. And with time, not only his epileptic syndrome has disappeared, but his autistic syndrome has gotten better.
Wow. Please tell us about the success you've had with your other son, Dove.
Okay, so we have a 2.5-year-old child. He's 7 months after stem cell therapy done by cord blood. So this is cord blood we have saved from that child, from that birth. And that's the blood of the baby being collected from the umbilical cord. And it was saved for him. At that point, we knew that there is a very good chance that we will need this blood for that child. Mm-hmm. He started having seizures. He was 2 weeks old. In fact, that's not even true because when I was pregnant with him, we saw signs of seizures. And I was induced because his heart rate would have collapsed every so often and then go back right to normal as if nothing had happened. So he must have had intrauterine seizures.
I've never heard of anyone mention that before. And this is Dove.
This is him. He was treated 7 months ago in Sheba Hospital in Israel within the research program. And he was treated with his own stem cells. So donated cord blood that contains the baby's stem cells from the embryonic stage. I think it took 3 days. It took 3 days for him to be doing better. So the first thing we saw is that he was more alert. He was making sounds for the first time in nearly a year. He was stable. So this is a child who had a hard time sitting down, standing up, very little ability to walk around. Most of the time, he was not even able to do that. Cognitively, he was estimated like at 3 months old. That's a very, 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 very young child.
What was Dove's life expectancy before you had this treatment done on him?
Well, nobody knew because what had happened with him, that with every day passing, his function went down. So if we were at 1 year old before regression, before his epilepsy got very, very difficult, then he had started walking, he started crawling, he started speaking. With every day passing, since his seizures became worse, then life expectancy goes down.
What are your hopes for the possibilities for him and Dolev in the future after this treatment?
So we're speaking, again, we have a baby at the house. We're speaking about the ability to do basic things. So speak. We're speaking about being able to be self-sufficient, going to the toilet on your own, showering on your own, crossing the street. Last week, for the very first time in their lives, my kids went on their own to the playground.
Great.
Those are mainly the things we want for them. If they achieve anything past that, that's amazing.
Is Dolev in school now?
Yeah, he goes to a regular school, what we call a special needs class. We have classes that are designed for autistic kids here, paid by the government. And he's doing really well. A lot better than what we ever imagined he will.
How long has it been since he's had a seizure and been on epileptic medication?
Well, he was treated on the 2nd of October this year, so 2022. 3 days after, we've not seen one. So in the first 3 days, we're not sure, but after 3 days, we've not seen one until today. And we've taken him off medication slowly after 5 months. So he's nearly like 6 weeks without anything.
Will there be future treatments?
Yes.
Dove isn't speaking yet. He still has severe developmental delay.
And so we're going to continue therapy with him. In context to epilepsy, nobody knows how many treatment needs to be done. And nobody knows if you need to have continuing treatments. The biggest fear that we have is what's going to happen to our older child who's going to be a teenager very soon. Then with hormonal changes, epilepsy can return.
That's true for most children with epilepsy. You don't know. What word of advice do you have for other parents of epileptic children?
Learn about epilepsy. There's so much you can do to help your children. And it's little things. Learn about the disease. Learn about what it looks like in your child. Take them to stem cell therapy. Go lots of good places. Hello. Lots of good places to go get treated at. And it can be better. It really can.
Your story is remarkable, and I know epilepsy is different for every individual. So I hope the stem cell treatment really proves to work out for you in the future, and I hope that perhaps this can be something good for all people with epilepsy.
The Defeating Epilepsy Foundation is a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping those battling epilepsy. We provide advocacy and educational services to those battling epilepsy at a global level. For more information about our projects and services, please visit our website at www.defeatingepilepsy.org or email us at info@defeatingepilepsy.org. Please like us on social media and follow us so you can see how we are making a difference. Thank you for your support, and together we will defeat epilepsy.
Hi, I am Natalie Beavers, and I am one of the many survivors living with epilepsy. My life has been filled with many ups and downs. It's just a part of life. I am proud of the person that I am becoming, and as I stand in the face of this relentless disorder called epilepsy, I want you all to know that I am me.
Ladies and gentlemen, when most of you think about getting treatment from the Epilepsy Gangster, you think of going to a neurologist, neurosurgeon, psychologist, even your general practitioner, who really can't do much for you than give you laxatives and antihistamines and antibiotics. Have you thought of seeing a chiropractor? It never came to me until I was seeing a chiropractor for an injury myself. Let me introduce to you Dr. Callie Corbin, who can share with us her story with the Epilepsy Gangster. Hello, Callie.
Hey, how are ya?
I am feeling very good because of my chiropractor, but tell us how the Epilepsy Gangster came into your life.
Yes, that gangster. It's awful. Well, I didn't always have it growing up. It came into my life when I was 21. Up until then, I was a Division I All-American volleyball player. And so I thought I was healthy. At 21, in my senior year of college, I had my first seizure. Fortunately, I had no history of seizures. But due to that reason, it was sort of dismissed. It was not looked into thoroughly because they just thought, well, you're under a lot of stress. So it was probably more stress syncope, which is just an expensive way of saying, hey, you fainted because you're stressed. I continued to have these moments every 10, 11 months, give or take, and they would hit randomly, but I didn't think anything of it because during that time I was also really stressed. And so it wasn't until I was 28 years old, and I had been hospitalized a few times now, and while in that hospitalization, I fell during one of these syncope moments. And hit my head against the wall and on the floor. What changed that day was later that night, I had a grand mal seizure. So talk about going from something that would take me out for 10 minutes, and I'd have a migraine after, to now a full-on grand mal seizure. That was different. The next day I had another one. And then the next day after that, I had a petite. And so instead of getting me fully checked out, they put a fall wristband on me and sat me in a wheelchair and said, don't get up. So for the rest of my stay there, I kept having these seizures until I was finally dismissed. And I remember distinctly when I was being discharged, the person looked at me and said, hey, I think you should go see a neurologist. You should really get these checked out. So I went through the whole gambit of testing, and every single EEG came back as full-blown adult onset epilepsy. I was placed on a Keppra. I went through your normal medical model approach. And at this state, that was my 15th medication. And with each new diagnosis came a new medication. So once I got the new diagnosis of epilepsy, that one was kind of the cherry on top.
How did chiropractic come into the play?
So by this point, my doctor, my neurologist said, we think you have a rare type, but it's medication resistant because you have been on so many medications. I was having anywhere between 15 to 20 seizures a month. And that's a lot. And it was physically taking a toll on me. And so I started to develop sciatic nerve pain. The sciatic nerve travels through the lower lumbar, which is the lower part of your spine, through your hips or your sacrum, which is the bone you sit on, down into the back of the leg, all the way down your leg. And so when you have any dysfunction at that nerve right here, you get severe shooting pain down the back of your leg. So I had seizures at work, and so they sent me home. I am laying on my bed, and a Facebook testimonial came across my Facebook feed. And it was a woman that beat cancer using chiropractic. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I thought chiropractors were just neck and back pain doctors.
Me too.
So I thought, okay, this is a one-off story. This woman beat cancer, that's great, but this is a chiropractor. She can help me with the sciatic nerve pain I've been experiencing.
You were only looking to get relief for the back pain.
Absolutely. Why would I go to a chiropractor for anything else? Like, that was honestly
nothing to do with the epilepsy.
No, I didn't even think that would be relevant. When I filled out my paperwork, it said, had all these different things, but it said, is there any major diagnoses that I should be aware of? And I flippantly put ulcerative colitis, which is ulcers of the colon that I had developed due to medications, and then epilepsy. That's all that I put on my paperwork. She had no idea, really, walking in there unless she had read my own handwriting. But she truly did look at me and say, you're going to heal to your 100%. And I don't know what that looks like, but I'm really excited to find out. Again, I had been seeing medical doctor after doctor after doctor, but no one could look at me and say, I'll get you back to your 100%. They always tried to get me to a place of like functioning and coping with diagnoses.
Me too.
Never like an idea of you're going to heal to your 100%, keyword being your. I went through the process, similar process you did, right? Consultation, got my first adjustment. And then I sat in my report of findings and I ended up having a seizure in her office. Now, imagine now that I'm a chiropractor myself, if you had never seen someone have a seizure, you have a new patient in your office having one, but you're a chiropractor, you're not a neurologist, you're not a general physician, right? That would be super overwhelming. But in her case, she knew that the medications weren't helping. So instead she got down and adjusted the top 2 bones in my spine, which is C1 and C2. They're so important that they have their own names. They're called atlas and axes. And it removed pressure off the nervous system and my brainstem in that moment. And so I have cluster seizures. I don't just have one, I have multiple. I stopped seizing. I didn't have a seizure after her adjustment.
How soon did you notice a change and the rest of the time?
So within the first month, I was able to start getting off of a lot of those other medications. The last medication for me to fully come off of was the anticonvulsant Keppra. But up until then, I slowly got off the other ones because I started to heal. Unfortunately, the seizures actually increased in frequency. But she kept reassuring me like, no, trust the process, trust the process. And I'm so thankful she was so certain in what she knew about the body, because I went from having 20 seizures. In that month, I went to like 23, to then the next month, I dropped from 23 seizures to like 12. And then the following month after that, it was 9. And by my 4th month of care, I went down to 4 seizures, which I know 4 seizures for some, that sounds like a lot, but when you're coming from 20 plus, 4 is nothing. When I hear others who have gone through this journey and they have more than that, I don't know how y'all do it. You guys are my true heroes.
Absolutely. How long ago was that?
May 1st, 2017 was my very first adjustment. I always like to say that was the day my life completely was transformed. Combination to getting adjustments, we started to do home care exercises so that my spine could hold the new position better, because I had lost 95% of my cervical curve, which is your neck curve. And she started me on a nutritional plan similar to keto, but it's something that you can do for a lifetime. Keto should not be done more than about 30 to 40 days. And when you have a chronic disability or diagnosis like epilepsy, you can't just do something for 30, 40 days. It's something that you need to be able to do for a lifetime. So this combination of retraining my spine, getting adjusted regularly, and then also adding in that nutritional, I am now sitting here today as a chiropractor. I can serve people like myself. Spoiler alert is that now I'm having one every 3 months.
Bravo.
It's pretty awesome.
That's right. I spent a lifetime at every 3 weeks, and back in 1991, it was every other day. I was so stressed out. So you made a remarkable achievement.
Well, thank you. But you know, I always am very clear, because I do believe in, I'm a doctor of cause. I want to know why. And the term idiopathic gets thrown around a lot. Idiopathic meaning we don't know why something has occurred. It's so important that you don't settle for an idiopathic diagnosis. Let's find the root cause. And so I had amazing parents who supported me and never allowed me to just settle. They were like, we're gonna find the reason. We're gonna find that why this developed. And to this day, I may not know the actual why, but I do know that if I keep my nervous system functioning, right, at its most optimal, my body is able to heal better, therefore less seizures. I healed that sciatic nerve pain. Geez Louise, that went away after like 3 adjustments.
Wow.
Oh yeah, that was gone. Ulcerative colitis cleared up. My hormone levels started to balance out as well. Yeah, I couldn't be more happy. But also I know that everybody's epilepsy is a little different. So just whether or not they go up or down under chiropractic care, it's about keeping that nervous system clear.
So this experience was enough to make you want to become part of the field?
Absolutely. I distinctly remember doing our warm-ups. You go to a Max Living office yourself, right? And so in a Max Living office, which I am, we do warm-ups and there's this neck traction. You're probably familiar with it. It goes under your neck and it tractions the spine. And I remember being on that traction unit and I looked over at my chiropractor because she used to stand next to me during my warm-ups so that I'd be safe. And I said, I think I'm supposed to become a chiropractor. And she looked at me and she had the gall to say, took you long enough. And I thought, 4 months of care. Okay.
Wow, that's incredible. So, one word of advice would you like to leave people?
I truly believe that my story occurred because I was never one to accept a diagnosis as part of my identity. I saw it as separate parts. I have epilepsy, or I had ulcerative colitis, or I had depression. I never took it on. And I know it's semantics, but because of that mentality, it allowed me to then go and accept maybe a different form of treatment. It allowed me to see it as epilepsy has multiple routes to healing, not maybe just one type. I encourage people just to, hey, don't just settle. Don't just settle. If you don't want to just say, well, I'm an epileptic and so I have to take these medications, maybe you do have to take those medications. But why not try other routes and take a little step of faith? Guess what? What if the epilepsy doesn't go away? Well, then you better use that to help others, but at the same time, use it to better your health in other ways.
Well, Dr. Callie, you've got a magnificent experience. I look forward to seeing what this inspires with other people watching this program.
I hope it helps others.
Well, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Tim always knew the world was made of different people, the idea of serving others, and loving the United States. Epilepsy made that difficult his entire life, particularly in keeping him out of the Navy. After several failures, the chance came to teach English in communist China. Going to the Chinese university, he was the first foreigner most had met, and he became their only American friend. Everyone discovered that people shouldn't base their friendships solely on nationalities.
I was glad to answer their questions because for the first time in my life, I saw that God had a mission for me. I became proud of my epilepsy and I realized that I was serving on a mission for my country's image that was bigger than anything I'd imagined as a kid. At the same time, I was serving God.
Read the ebook, Involuntary Mission in China with a Thorn in the Flesh, to learn about Tim's struggles and discoveries. Ebook available on Amazon. Even though people with epilepsy cannot serve in most of the world's armed forces, there was a person with epilepsy who showed great military shrewdness and rallied troops in a tumultuous war between France and England. More incredibly, this warrior was a woman. A prophecy circulated around France when she was a child that an armed virgin would eventually lead France in a long war with England. At the age of 16, she asked others to take her to French King Charles VII, insisting that by guidance of Archangel Michael, Saint Marguerite, and Saint Catherine, she would bring victory to the French. Experts nowadays say that visions like she described can be symptomatic of epilepsy. Nevertheless, the king and his court were convinced of her heavenly connection. She donned a suit of armor made for a woman, and the king sent her to the soldiers, more as a figurehead or morale booster. Amazingly, she displayed remarkable leadership and military prowess in numerous victories. Her cunning strategy was matched only by her charisma, which inspired even the most disheartened soldiers to fight with a renewed vigor. Only 3 years after her emergence, she was captured by her English enemies. They regarded her accounts of angelic images, messages, and periods comparable to complex partial seizures as heresy and proof that she was demonic. She was burned alive at the stake in Normandy on May 30th, 1431. However, her legacy endures as a shining example of triumph of the human spirit, proving that even in the face of adversity, greatness can be achieved. She was named the Matron Saint of France by Pope Benedict XV in 1920. This person is Joan of Arc. I am not afraid. I was born to do this.
Epilepsy Gangster, life is going to be such smooth sailing once my gang and researchers have gotten rid of you. And everybody, may you be seizure-free and may God bless you.